What's up, guys? Brunsnick's back. Have you guys ever had your bowling ball damaged and you need it fixed? Well, that's what happened with my Black Widow Mania. So a while back, the ball jumped, the ball returned, and off the rails, went into the pit, underground, couldn't find it for a while, finally found it and got it out, and it is banged up. It's got some marks. Also, I want to change the grip and then convert the Ultimate Thumb to a JoPo thumb because I've switched. And so we're going to go through that whole process step by step. I'm going to show you what it takes to get a ball looking like this, back to factory finish, getting fitted, and looking good again. So let's get to it right now. So a closer look at this ball, you can see some pretty gnarly damage. I got some, gosh, what is, I don't even know what that is. It's kind of stuck embedded into the shell. General scratching, kind of beat up a little bit, stuff that's not normal. All this stuff, just, I mean, is this going to affect the way the ball rolls? No, not really. These surface scratches, not really. But things like this, I mean, it's out of the track. I'm not really concerned about it. But the first thing we need to really do is we're going to take the tape out because we're going to be resurfacing. We'll get it all wet, so we don't want to reuse it. And then get the grip out of there. So let's start with that. We want a new grip in here. Let's try this tool. I don't really use this tool very often. But you just kind of slide this in there and then give it a twist to kind of cut the grip out if you can. Struggling here. Maybe I used too much glue. But you just turn it. There you go. There it goes. There we go. That should just pop out of there. If you did it right, which I didn't. We're going to need some pliers. I'm looking around. These are the best pliers I could find. Man, if this was my shop. There we go. Yeah, probably used a little too much glue. So we need to cut out the rest of the grip. That's all right. We got a knife for that. Just kind of cut it all out. We want a clean start. Try to get all fancy with that grip cutter tool. All right, let's vacuum all that out. Just to get the last little remnants out. I want this to be perfect, so I don't want the grip to feel any snugger than it used to or looser than it used to, really. So just make sure you clean that out, and I think we're good there. We even got some schmutz. We'll address that later, but in the vent hole there, too. We got a little schmutz, but we can fix that later. We can either kind of poke it down. There, got it out, we're good. You just want to test, give it the, we're good. No resistance there. All right, let's get the tape out. Simple procedure. Just yoink, gone. Now, we're ready to get this on the resurfacer to get this thing reconditioned. So we're gonna get it over there and go from there. All right, we're all set here. So we're gonna start with the first step, which is 500 grit. We have fresh pads because we need to do a little bit of work on this. So we're gonna set there. Now, if the track was really bad, or say, you know, there was some major gouging or anything that was kind of a little bit more rough, then we'd probably opt for diamond plates. And diamond plates are another attachment here that are diamond coated, that cut a lot more and do a very strong cut. But we're not going to do that. We're going to start with 500. We're going to do a traditional resurface. 500 should be plenty enough to take out what was going on with this ball. So we'll probably run this for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Let's start it on 3. Don't have to get the water going and all that stuff. I'll let that run. Okay, that's up. So we're gonna clean this ball off and we're going to check to see if the damage is gone or if we need to run it a little bit longer. So let's go ahead and do that. I think that's going to be enough time, but we're going to dry this off and we'll see. So that's all dried off and it looks beautiful again. I don't see any remnants of scratching or anything like that. So now we can go ahead and finish up the surface prep by going 1000, 1500 compound. Let's get on this one. Let's switch out the pads. So we're going to switch out the 500s to 1000. Let's use all fresh pads for this. So we're going to 1000. Good. Let's get that ball back in there. Now last time we went 3 minutes. When we're working the ball back up to a factory compound, we don't need to go as long. I get that question all the time, is how much time do I need on each surface pad? And you start with the most time to start to get that base layer, and then you work up with less time. So we're going to go 1000 for, let's say, 1 minute, and then we're going to finish up on 1500 for 30 seconds, okay? Okay, let's get that out of there and change the pads one more time. Get these thousands out. One part of the job I don't miss. This is a messy job being in the pro shop business. For everybody that's in pro shops and knows what I'm talking about, God bless. Very dirty job, but it is also very fun too. All right, so now we got the 1500s in there. Like I said, we're gonna go 30 seconds on this one here. Okay, so that's the resurfacing. Now we're going to finish it up with some compound, and then that will complete the factory surface, the reconditioning of the Black Widow Mania. Yummy. All right, so let's clean this off first before we apply any compound. Now, as it looks right now, it's still going to be very dull. Because 500, 1000, 1500 is a pretty dull surface. There we go. So we're going to finish up with some Crown factory compound. That's all we need. So shake her up, shake her up, shake her up, shake it. I'm going to find the cleanest towel we can. I don't know what's on here, but I'm going to give it a shot. The compound's got some grit to it, right? It's a polish, but it has a lot of cutting agents in it. right? But it's not going to be a high gloss. Then you ask, how many sides do I got to do? Well, might need more polish too. I like to do 4 sides, okay? Always saturate the pad. For a polish job, yeah, 4 sides, plenty. Let's get the top. But you can see the difference between the side we did and the side we haven't done. So let's get this out here. Get a little bit more. I'd say medium pressure. I'm not digging into it, but I'm also not just letting the towel do its thing. I'm giving some pressure with the fingers there. Okay, let's switch it over to the side here. So a little bit more pressure here to finish up. Might even add a little bit more. Pressure creates heat, and the heat creates a nice tacky polish on there. Looking great. Let's do this side. Get this towel out of shambles here. How's that look? I think it looks great. All right, let's get this thing back on the drill press now. We're gonna get a new grip installed. We're gonna get the JoPo installed now. Okay, it's all cleaned up. Looks pretty good. I'm not too worried about some of the damage. It's not even in the track. So like this is pretty smoothed out. I'm not too worried about cutting it down even more. But the main stuff is all gone. The ball looks pristine again. And so we just need to get a grip in there. We need to put the new thumb in there. So just want to clean up the finger holes a little bit. You know, when you resurface, you sharpen these edges a little bit. So I'm just going to round them off a little bit. That's all. Just a little tappy tappy. Tap, tap, taparoo. That's it. Let's get this grip installed. Always change your grips. They say, how often do you have to change them? Well, it depends. If you have a vacuum grip installed, like I do, they could probably stretch out within 20, 30 games. Not kidding. And you won't feel it because it's not going to be overnight. But it will feel different than when you put in a brand new grip. Okay, that's glued in. Let's do the back on the bottom to get that secure. That's all you need, a little tap. All right, that's all in there. We'll put tape in. That'll be the final thing we do. But we need to draw our center line so we can establish that again. Just try to eyeball the center of the bridge and the center of the thumb and get it as best as we can. Does that look pretty good? Yeah, that's pretty good. The reason this is important is because when we install any kind of interchangeable, it usually has a line of some sort. I know Turbo's got a little notch. I think Ultimate had the notch as well. What do we got? We got Ultimate here. Yeah, the Ultimate had a notch right at the top here. So you line that with the back of the hole. So JoPo's got this. So we're going to want to put this in here. Nice thing is that the outside diameter is the same. JoPo, you drill deeper. So installing a JoPo into a ball that had Ultimate is very easy because you go deeper. But if this was reversed and say, I know you probably wouldn't now because Ultimate's discontinued, but if you were to go from here and you wanted to go there, you'd have to plug, at least pitch plug, about a quarter of the way up because this is a lot shallower drill. So now that we got that, let's get this on the drill press. Let's drill out this old Ultimate. All right, let's get the pitches in there. 3/16 forward, 1/8 to the right. I'll lock in the press there. So what I like to do is take the next smallest bit, 1 3/8, because it'll fit roughly in there to kind of center up the drill press where it needs to go. So I'll go straight up and just kind of get it aligned where it's kind of centered in here. And then just eyeball which adjustments we need to make to get this thing centered. You'll be able to tell. There's good. There you go. Kick it a little bit back and then we're set. Yeah. Good. Good. Okay. So we can lock the vacuum jig in there. This is pretty solid. If it wasn't giving me enough pressure, I would definitely switch to a plate and get this thing on here. You know, if I'm cutting plug, I'm definitely using the plate locked down with a wing nut over here. But I feel safe enough here, we'll be all right. But if it flies off, we'll have a great viral video, won't we? So we're gonna go nice and easy. We go nice and easy because you never know when the glue is going to end on the install from the last one, and the whole thing can turn and shift. Really pucker up when that happens, so you kind of feel for it. Sometimes it happens, sometimes not. I use epoxy, so it might not ever happen, but let's get some of this build up there gone. About ready to hit bottom here. That's the bottom. So there's the rest of that. Now we'll hit ball and get to the desired depth. All right, now we're all set there, and we're going to install this JoPo. So often what I've found is when you drill out you get a little bit of play with the new one. So we got, see a little bit of play because when you drill out, sometimes it takes a little bit more out than when you first did it. But when you scar up the new thumb, and this also, the reason I do this is so that the glue can better adhere to that. And I will be using epoxy. I know epoxy is not necessarily needed for these. You know, you just use like a slow zap glue, but I like epoxy. I'm a big fan. So now when we get this back in, now we got a whole lot less play. The epoxy will fill in and take care of the rest. So let's do that. Don't need a ton of it, because you also don't want too much glue sliding down to the bottom and interfering with the locking mechanism. With Ultimate, it wasn't an issue, but in the past, with Turbo and now JoPo, it can be an issue because there's a locking mechanism at the bottom, and if too much glue runs down and hits that bottom, it could prevent it from locking. So I only use a little bit of glue, and I try to keep it more towards the top, and once I've spread it around, I will take the extra that kind of comes off on the popsicle stick and I will wipe it off. I won't put it back in. I usually give this a mix for about 30 to 45 seconds until it kind of turns more of a creamy white, and just kind of get a feel, or just whenever my arm gets tired. Mix it all around. Makes the two parts go wee. And get that spread out. So much easier on a, not on the drill press here, so I'll do my best, but spinning this around to get a nice even coat of glue. So we got all this excess at the top. We'll clean up after we get that thing installed. But we got excess there. We're just going to take that away and wipe it off. So we just resurface this thing. We don't want it to look ugly again, right? Get all the excess out of there. Good enough. Yeah, the reason I also like epoxy, it gives me 5 minutes to set up. So I have time once I get it in there. So I also like to spin it around, right? And then get this back lined up right in the center of that line, right there. We're just making a mess today. That's all right. Better to clean this up prior to when it dries, as then you have a much harder cleanup once the epoxy forms up. So let's get that reset up right in the center, and then we'll allow that to set. So we'll come back in about 5-10 minutes and we'll see where we're at. This is all set. I always try to twist it, and the glue is definitely set. So before you do anything else, zero out the press. If you don't zero out the press, you're gonna have a bad time, because you will cut into your ball, and then we gotta do the whole process all over again. We gotta resurface that spot. And if you're in a shop and you've ever done that, you know the pain I'm talking about. Nice thing also about JoPo is there's not a lot to cut off. It's pretty much flush at the back there. All right, we got that set. Nice and easy, let it feed into this. That's it. Easy. Let's vacuum that out. Looking good. Let's do a test fit. We gotta always do a test fit, right? Make sure this goes in fine. Oh yeah. Perfect. Now we are all set, except we got one more thing to do. We got to put some tape in there. Let's clean this off. Let's get this thumb out. Get some ball cleaner. Good. Now I put tape right in the front to kind of give it an oval in here. I just kind of stack it all around. I don't try to make it too pretty. Just get it in there. Offset it a little bit here and there. But I use about 6 pieces of tape. People just say, hey, why don't you just drill the hole smaller? You won't have to use tape. Well, you know what? I like the feel of tape. I like that feel. I like texture. And it kind of gives the oval a little bit. I don't tape the back because the vent hole's back there, but some people do on the Sarge grip. But I like the feel of tape. And if for whatever reason my ring finger swells a little bit, I can tape out and then it'll feel fine. All right, let's see where we're at. How many pieces was that? I lost track. I just kind of go for the feel of it. I want to feel a little bit of tug on the ring finger when I get my hand set. And we're not there yet. So that's 5 pieces. So yeah, right about where I thought we would be at 6 pieces. 6 one always wants to create a fuss, doesn't it? But yeah, I'm not trying to win any art prizes here, putting this in perfect. Just need to get it in there, get it stacked up. That's just giving me all sorts of issues there, huh? All right, get that down. Down, down. All right, we're all set there. All right. So that is all for the reconditioning of my Black Widow Mania. Rescued this ball from damage. Also changed the grip. We went through the installation of the JoPo and we cleaned out the tape and replaced that. So if you got any questions, comments, leave them down below. Check out the crew. Memberships are available. And if nothing else, please subscribe. Trying to get to 40K this year. Gonna need your help to do it. So take care. See you on the next video.